to remove this ignorance and also to gain the Atmaikatva Vidya Pratipattaye, Avidya Nivruttaye, Atmaikatva Vidya Praptaye, Sarve Vedantaha Arabhyante. On this point, there was a Dvaitin's objections, particularly Madhva's objection, that was replied that Bandha is real, if he thought. The real Bandha cannot be removed by Jnanam. And here Upanishad is talking of removal of Bandha, removal of bondage through Jnanam. What can be removed by Jnanam is only avidya and not anything real. Jnanam cannot remove what is real. That was a reply. Then the next objection is of Ramanujacharya. Means these ideas are found in their writings. That's all we mean. We are not trying to fight with them. We are only certain objections they have raised against Advaita. Therefore, we are taking those objections and trying to understand in the light of their objections. In trying to understand our Siddhanta, Acharya Supadesha, we are trying to understand how Acharya Supadesha is logical and fits in with our Anubhava in the light of their objections and their arguments. Okay, our purpose is to understand our own Anubhava better, not to refuting them. Okay, because those objections we take as our own objections and try to convince our own mind. Okay, if you take this way, and it makes sense, and also we understand Shankaracharya's teaching better. Okay, so Ramanujacharya's first, there are few arguments, I think 1, 2, 3, 4 or more. Yeah, four arguments. First argument was that there is no pramana for Chinmatra Ekatvam, Nirvishesha Chinmatram. That Atma is Chaitanyam and Nirvishesham. Nirvishesha Chaitanyam. So for Nirvishesha Chaitanyam, there is no pramana whatsoever. This was Ramanuja's objection. We only repeat the objections here, and we shall answer when Swamiji himself answers. Okay. And while answering, each of these arguments repeats, so that you don't have to worry, you don't miss anything. You don't have to remember that there he will touch himself, Swamiji himself. He raises these objections verbatim and answers. Okay, point by point he answers. So first we just remember, we are reading out Ramanujacharya's objection to it. First is that for Nirmishesha Chinmatra Jnanam is not possible. Because for Atma is, because there is no pramana for it, he says. Now he says the very nature of Shabda pramana. First he talks of Shabda pramana and then goes about Pratyakshadi pramana and all others. First, Pratyakshadi pramana naturally reveal only worldly things, which have got qualities. See, Pratyaksha reveals only qualities, and Anumana also reveals only qualities. Qualities in the sense of the relativeness. Then Shabda Pramana also reveals only relatedness of two ideas. Two ideas get related. So because Shabda consists of sentence consists of words reveal certain ideas, even words themselves reveal certain relationship only. Therefore, even Shabda Pramana cannot reveal Nirvishesha Chaitanyam which is unspecified, unable to specify as this and like this and like that. All that we have discussed elaborately. Just I am reminding where we are. Okay, since if it is regularly we could do that, but we are with a 1 week gap or 2 days gap, 4 days gap, we are coming to the next class. So just to remind where we are. The next point coming. Yattuchyate pratyakshadinam avidyas. Second point B. In Ramanujacharya's objection, second point is Yattuchyate pratyakshadinam avidya purasara pravrittiriti. You told Advaitin, he is objecting. You Advaitin told that pratyakshadis are due to avidya. Pratyakshadi pramanas are due to avidya, therefore they cannot reveal Brahman. So what is wrong in that? Pratyakshadi pramanas are within Adhyasa, therefore they cannot reveal Brahman. This is what you told? Oh my God, Ramanujacharya says, my God, what you Advaitins you are. Parapashakunaya swana satcheda kriyate. You are cutting your nose in order to pose an apashakuna, a bad woman, to your enemy. See, the illustration implies that you are making your position weaker in order to give trouble to others. In order to give trouble to others, your position, your siddhanta, you are making weaker. You are spoiling your own siddhanta. You should stand by your siddhanta. Your siddhanta should be able to stand independently. You told pratyakshadi is due to avidya. This is a big threat to your own siddhanta. How? He says, Shastrasyapi avidya purasaratvena. You say pratyakshadi pramanas are due to avidya, within avidya. Therefore, pratyaksha anumana cannot reveal Brahman. If that is the case, Shabda pramana also cannot reveal. Shastrasyapi avidya purasaratvena. You told everything is due to avidya. In Adhyasa Bhashya, tametam avidyakhyam atmanatmano ritaretara adhyasam puraskritya sarve pramana prameya vyavaharaha. Vidishastra sarve pramana prameya vyavaharaha pravruttaha laukikascha vaidikascha pravruttaha vidhi pratisheda moksha parani cha. You told not only the karmakanda shastra, even jnanakanda shastra is due to avidya. This is what you told. Isn't it? When you told all this is due to avidya, then why do you say pratyakshadi alone is due to avidya? You are telling entire shastra. If all the shastras are due to avidya, then your argument alone is contradicting yourself. You told pratyakshadi cannot reveal Brahman because it is due to avidya. Then the same argument applies to your shastra also. You told shastra also is due to avidya, then shastra also will become incapable of revealing Advaitam Brahma. Therefore, Advaitam Brahma is a myth. It doesn't exist. It is your Advaitins' imagination, wild imagination. Okay. So, tasya avidya nirasana samartya abhava prasangat. Is the next point. Next point, he says, Nacha Bhrantoyam. Next argument, he says, okay, even if you take Shastra as a pramana, okay, even if you say Shastra is a pramana, Nacha Bhrantoyam iti parignyatena kenachit nayam sarpo mabhayishit tityeki bhaya nivrittir bhavet. Idu nodi, Ramanujacharya is continuing. You say you mistake the rope for snake. Taking it to be snake, you are afraid. Somebody says, hey, don't worry, it is not the snake, it is rope. Just because somebody said that it is not snake, and snake goes away and your fear goes away. Nahi bhrantoyamiti parignyatena kenachit nayam sarpo ma bhayishi. Somebody may say you are under mistake. See, you have mistaken rope for snake, and somebody else is not. and that person comes and tells you, hey, it is a snake, you are misunderstanding. It is not snake. Your perception of the snake is purely your misunderstanding. There is no snake. Just because he said it, snake goes away and fear goes away. It doesn't go away. How can it go away like that? Therefore, he says, Shabda Pramana, simply it tells that you are Brahman, you are not Jiva. Has it gone now? Somebody told, now you listen to it. Now you mean your Jivatvam, your body, mind and sense organ, your individuality is gone and you have become Brahman? It doesn't happen. And you say, by Shastra Pramana, Advaitam is known. It won't happen. This is Ramanujacharya's objection. Okay. Because nacha apatata pramanatvena svikritena shastrena pratyakshadi vishaya badhe sati shastravagata dvitiyatmano bada bhavadeva paramartattvamityuttanam sambhavati. Now he imagines. He says, you Advaitin might say. See, you Advaitin might say like this. Okay. What is it? Am I correct? Wednesday. Yeah, correct. Because I'm wondering, am I speaking Wednesday? Yeah. I think people are busy, I think. Doesn't matter. I'll just say and then record it and leave it. People are busy, I think. I'll just say and then. So when they have time, they will listen. So, now you Advaitin might say, apatata pramanatvena svikritena shastrena pratyakshadi vishaya badhe sati. Pratyakshadi, I think this is more technical. Shall I go into this thing? I think technical, more technical it is. Pramanatvena svikritena shastrena pratyaksha. See, you say Advaitins, Pratyakshadi are tentatively pramana, not really pramana. Therefore, Pratyakshadi pramanatvena svikritena shastrena Pratyakshadi vishaya badhe sati. Shastra is taken as a pramana tentatively. And that Shastra falsifies what is visible by Pratyaksha. I think this is some of the Vyakhyanakaras say. We don't say this. The Vyakhyanakaras, Panchapadika, Vivarana followers say this. Therefore, Ramanuja keeping their argument in view and answering. Even now, in the Pandita Sabhas, if you see them, even now the same thing. Even now they argue the same thing. Now I have to tell the things openly. Those who might be following Vyakhyanakaras, Panchapadika, Vivarana, forgive me, I am not personally criticizing anybody. Just see the Pandita Sabha in Sanskrit. You see them, Sanskrit in the internets, in the YouTube you see them, the Sanskrita. All the Pitas connected scholars, they discuss. They recently also one Vakyartha Sadas took place. Mani Dravida Shastri was replying to them and all that. So there, in some of one of these, number of these discussions, they say Shastra Pramana is a higher Pramana. Therefore, what Pratyaksha says can be contradicted, can be negated by what Shastra says. What Pratyaksha says can be negated by what Shastra says. This is what our Advaita followers, that Vyakhyanakaras, Panchapadika, Vivarana, Bhamati say. Our present day scholars also, our Advaita, biggest scholars of India, in Sanskrit, they also say the same thing. So Ramanuja's followers say one good thing. I myself have heard them telling. One Pramana doesn't contradict another Pramana. Each Pramana has its own place. They say, see, Ramanuja follower, while sitting on the platform, he himself immediately objected. How can you say Shabda Pramana negates Pratyaksha Pramana? Each Pramana has its own. Each Pramana has its own area. One Pramana cannot contradict with another Pramana. They say, our people don't even look at it. How can one Pramana contradict another Pramana? This is a good point. Even our Shankaracharya also says, Svavishaya Shurani Pramanani, because point has come, I have to discuss it. It's a highly technical point anyway, you listen, patiently listen. So, in Brihadaranyaka Bhashya, elsewhere, in Sutra Bhashya and even all other places, Bhashyakara says, Svavishaya Shurani Pramanani. Pramanas, each pramana is independently valid. Svavishaya Shura. Shura means capable. It is independently capable and valid. Both artha is implied. A pramana is valid and only in its own sphere. Svavishaya Shura, in its own sphere. So, eyes are valid in its own sphere of revealing the colors. And other pramanas have no say. They neither contradict nor confirm. Like, see, what eyes reveal is color. The ears can neither confirm it nor contradict it. That means every pramana is valid, independently valid in its own area. Therefore, no another pramana can contradict it. This is Shankaracharya to say. They also say when that Bhashya sentence come, our Vyakhyana followers also say this. But in the routine thing, they always say Pratyaksha Pramana is lower Pramana, Shabda Pramana is higher Pramana, therefore higher Pramana negates lower Pramana. This is what they have been telling. Swamiji caught them, but they get angry. They say, Swamiji is talking something strange things. It is not strange. What Swamiji says alone is right, and it is acceptable to Bhashya, acceptable to Anubhava. It is in keeping with Anubhava. One pramana cannot contradict another pramana. But they present it this way, that Shruti pramana is Apaurusheya pramana, Pratyaksha pramana is a Paurusheya pramana, therefore Apaurusheya pramana is created by God, created by Ishvara, therefore it negates it. This is the argument they have been using even now. Even now they have been using. Recently I heard, I think 3 or 4 days ago, there was a Vakyartha Sadas, they used the same argument. So, this is what Ramanujacharya raises again. You say that Pramanatvena Svikrutena Shastrena. Shastra is also is tentatively Pramana for you. You take Shastra is a Pramana tentatively. Okay, even that Shastra Pramana, Pratyakshadi Vishaya Badhe Sati. Pratyakshadi Vishaya, the object of perception and inference. When the object of perception and inference is negated, that means Dvaita is negated. Adviti Yatmano Badha Bhava Deva. This is what Ramanujacharya is quoting Advaitin's argument and expressing his disapproval. Okay, first he is quoting Advaitin. But do Advaitins say this? Some of the Vyakhyanakaras say, Shankara doesn't say, Satchidananda Swamiji doesn't say, we don't say. What is that? Pratyakshadi pramanas are negated. What is revealed by Pratyakshadi pramana is negated by Shruti pramana, because which is a higher pramana. Okay. Pramanatvena Shastravagatat Advitiyatmano Badha Bhava Deva. What Pratyaksha pramana reveals is negated by Shastra. But what Shastra reveals is negated by no other pramana. Because this is what Advaitins you might say. He is quoting Vyakyanakaras. Okay. Advaitins also don't say, that's why this is complicated. He is accusing you Advaitins might say, and he is going to express his disapproval. Before that, I have to add some point here. This argument is only of the Vyakyanakaras, not of Shankaracharyas. So the Vyakyanakaras say, Shastra Pramana is a higher Pramana, it negates Pratyaksha Pramana. That means what is revealed by Pratyaksha is negated by Shruti Pramana. But what is revealed by Shruti Pramana Advaita cannot be negated. Okay. Pramanat Shastravagatat Advitiya Atmano Badha Bhavat. This Advitiya Atma is not negated. Therefore it is Satyam. You might say, Advaitins might say, first Ramanujacharya told, Advaita cannot be known. Advaita cannot be known by any pramana, first he told. Okay. And now he is quoting Advaitins that Shruti Pramana reveals Advaita. If Shruti Pramana, Advaitins say, you might Advaitins say, Advaita that is revealed by Shruti Pramana remains unnegatable. Once you understand what is Advaita, it remains unnegatable. You might say, now Ramanuja says, no, Paramartattva-mityutthanam sambhavati. He says, this also doesn't stand. This argument of you Advaitins doesn't stand. Because, what do you say? Advaita remains unnegatable, therefore it is the final truth. He says, no, he says, Nirjana Pradeshe Vasato Ajnata Swatetimirasya Jayamana Dvichandra Jnanasya Iva Shastriya Jnanasya Badha Bhavepi Mithyatva Atikramana Jangalatva Sambhavat. Just as Nirjana Pradeshe, you are living in a forest, or Nirjana Pradeshe means or in a desert. If you are living in a forest or desert, lone person. Forest and desert, we say these days forest and desert is easy to go because we have got helicopters and then what kind of facilities. But in those days, you go to a desert place where no other human being, you alone exist. If you are living in such place, Ramanujacharya is refuting Advaitin's stand. Listen to it. Vasato Ajnata Swatimirasya. He has got a Timira. Timira means he has got a cataract. Due to cataract, this person is seeing a second moon. And to know that his cataract is a Bhranti, is a mistake, due to a mistake in his eyes, how do you know? How do you know that yours is a defect in your eye? The second moon is seen due to a defect in your eyes. How do you know? Ajnata Swatimirasya Jayamana Dvichandra Jnanasya Iva. Second moon you see due to a defect in your eye. Now this were possible if there was another person to compare with. Another person without cataract, a younger fellow. You look at a younger fellow and he says that you compare with his vision and see that what is it. And you say them, I am seeing a second moon today. That young fellow says, no, pa, no father, it is not a second moon. It is only one moon alone. Then he understands, oh, there is some defect in my eyes. You could know the defect in your eye only when you compare with others. But suppose if you live in a desert or a forest where you alone live, there is nobody else. Then there is nobody else for you to compare with. Then how do you negate your second moon and come to understand one moon? You cannot negate. Since there is nobody to compare with and understand your perception of second moon is due to your cataract, there is no second person. So, Shastriya Jnanasya, similarly you say that Pratyaksha Pramana is corrected. The perception, sense perception is corrected by Shastra, and Shastra perception is corrected by no other Pramana. Since there is no other Pramana, what Shastra reveals Advaitam, the Advaitam that Shastra reveals cannot be negated. Therefore, it is final truth. You told Advaitam. And he says, Just because there is nobody else to correct your Advaita, and you say, you claim that Advaita is final. Advaita is, you say, Advaitans say, Advaita is final because there is nothing to negate Advaita. What Shruti says is Advaita, and there is no pramana to negate Shruti's pramana. There is no other pramana which can negate Shruti pramana. Shruti pramana has finally revealed that it is Advaita. Afterwards, there is no pramana to negate it. But then how do you know Dvaita is Mithya? Because Dvaita is known by Pratyaksha, and that Pratyaksha pramana is negated by Shruti pramana. Pratyaksha pramana is, this is what Vyakhyanakaras say, not Shankara. Okay. So Dvaita, Pratyaksha pramana was negated by Shruti pramana, and after Shruti pramana, there is no pramana that can negate. Therefore, Advaita is final. This is what you Advaitins told. Now I am telling you, this is simply because you don't find another person to compare with. Like a cataract person. Person suffering from cataract does not find another healthy person to compare with. Therefore, he thinks that what he says alone is right. Like that, since you don't find another pramana that can negate your Shastra pramana, you think that this Advaita is final. This is not acceptable to us. Just because you don't find another person and you say your understanding is right and final. Shastriya jnanasya bada bhavepi mithyatva atikramana janghalatva asambhavat. This cannot be accepted. Okay. Ramanujacharya is just raising arguments. All this Swamiji is going to answer later. Okay. Now we'll continue. Ramanujacharya continues. 2 more paragraphs he has to say. He has got 1.5 page objection. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 objections, 5 arguments. All these 5 point by point Swamiji answers later. Now next 1, 2 is over. 2, 3, now the 4th argument. 1, 2, 3, 4th argument. Abhyupagamya idamuktam. Natu, okay, we have accepted tentatively, Ramanujacharya says. We have accepted as a concession. Okay, let there be that there is an Advaita and Shastra can reveal and all that. As a concession, we have accepted and raised objection to your Siddhanta, Advaita Siddhanta. Now we say, first, no pramana can reveal. First thing is, there is no Nirvishesha Chaitanyam at all. All Chaitanyam is Savishesha. All Chaitanya has got some or other quality without any specification. Pure consciousness doesn't exist at all. This is what Ramanuja's objection. There is no pure consciousness at all. Natu Nirvishesha Chinmatram Vastu Kutrachid Asti. Now he says, Nirvishesha Chinmatram doesn't exist anywhere. All Chaitanyam is only qualified Chaitanyam. All consciousness is only in association with some quality. Qualityless Chaitanyam, unspecified Chaitanyam doesn't exist. Unspecified means pure. But every Chaitanyam, every consciousness is under some specification alone. Chid gunakam hi chid vastu viti suprasiddham. He says, we all know, you ask any common man, chid gunakam and chid vastu. A Chaitanya vastu, a Chaitanya substance, and also chid gunakam, chid vastu iti suprasiddham. He is putting, so this is a peculiar concept. Those who have never heard other schools like Ramanuja Madhva would never know. Those who have been listening only Advaita would never know this, because we Advaitins never touch this. What is their argument? There are 2 Chaitanya. One is Chaitanya Gunaka and Chaitanya Swarupa. Atma is a Chaitanyam with a Chaitanya Guna. Means Atma has consciousness as a quality and consciousness as a nature. Chid Gunakam. That means Jnanam is a quality of Jnanam. Double Jnanam, they say. Can we imagine light being a quality of light? Light being a quality of light. I don't know, I am not able to imagine. But Ramanuja and even Madhvas also, they say Chid Gunakam. So, Jiva is a Chid Gunaka. Chid Gunakam hi Chid Vastu Viti Suprasiddham. This is well known. Ramanuja says everybody knows. He is taking it for granted. And only you Advaitins alone don't accept. This is natural. What is it? Atma hi Chidrupaha Swasmai Swayam Prakashamanatvat. Atma is Chidrupa Chidgunaka, they say. Atma is Chaitanya nature and Chaitanya quality. Atma has a quality of Chaitanyam and nature of Chaitanyam. Two they say. It's a very strange, we have never heard of it. Advaitins have never heard, as I told you. But this is their strange concept, strange idea. Strange for us, for them it is very familiar. Because that's how they have been learning right from childhood. They listen to the same thing. In fact, for them, pure consciousness is a strange for them. Pure consciousness, these Advaitins say, we have never heard of it. Right from childhood, we have been hearing only our Vishishta Advaita argument alone. Pure consciousness, oh, this is what Advaitins say. They say this is too much. This is foolishness. How can there be pure consciousness? Okay. So, Atma hi Chidrupaha, Ramanujacharya is continuing. Atma hi Chidrupaha. Atma is of the nature of consciousness. Swasmai, why? He is telling two. Atma is of Chaitanya nature and Chaitanya quality. Qualified by Chaitanya. Qualified by consciousness. See, nature of consciousness, qualified by consciousness. Bah. Now, first he is explaining who is of Chaitanya nature. Atma is of Chaitanya nature. See, Atma hi Chidrupaha. Why Atma is Chaitanya nature? Swayam Prakashamanatvat. Atma is Swayam Prakasha. Atma Swayam Prakasha, when Vedantins say, is different. They say is different. Atma Swayam Prakasha means Atma knows it Atma. Atma knows itself. Self-knowing is called Swayam Prakasha. See, their concept of Swayam Prakasha is different from Advaitin's concept of Swayam Prakasha. We say Atma is Swayam Prakasha because when he touches it, immediately I have to show the contrast. In fact, the answer will come later. If I don't touch it now and just say Ramanuja's argument and leave it, the listeners will misunderstand. Therefore, I have to immediately correct it from the Advaitin's standpoint. Show the contrast. They say Swayam, their concept of Swayam Prakasha is different from Advaitin's idea of Swayam Prakasha. Swayam Prakasha, self-shining. Atma is self-shining according to Ramanuja and others. Atma's self-shining means Atma knows itself. See, Atma is aware of itself. That is self-shining. This is a very strange. Shankaracharya says Atma doesn't know itself. There is no knower known nature within one entity. Knower known are two different things. A knower is always a knower, can never become known. This is the speciality of Advaitin. Speciality in the sense that this is the unique Siddhanta of Advaitin alone. Knower cannot be known. Known cannot be knower. Jnatru Gneyam. Knower, known are two separate. But they say Swayam Prakasha implies that Atma knows itself. Vedantins say Swayam Prakasha means Atma in its nature Prakasha. That's what we mean. Swayam means its illumination doesn't depend upon any other thing. That means Atma Swayam Prakasha means the what is to be revealed, the object of revelation, the object of illumination is not required. And so there is no object to be illumined. Even in the absence of an object to be illumined, Atma remains consciousness by its very nature. See, when sun is shining or when the light is on, when you are present or you are absent, light is on. Light keeps on illumining. It is not necessary that the object of illumination, the object to be illumined must be present for the light to illumine. We don't say that. So it is not necessary that for the light to illumine, the object of illumine is necessary. Object of illumination is necessary. Object may be there, may not be there. Atma's nature of consciousness keeps illumining. If object happens to be there, it gets illumined. If it is not there, still it reveals that there is nothing. It reveals even the absence of an object. So, Atma's illumination doesn't depend upon object to be illumined. That means it is the very nature of Atma to be illumination. This is what our concept of Swayam Prakasha. But their concept of Swayam Prakasha means Atma knows itself. Atma lights itself. Oh, that means they accept Atma illumining itself. If Atma illumines itself, then Atma is becoming an object of its own illumination. So in the Atma there are two aspects. One is an illuminer, another is illuminated. Illuminator and illuminated, this relationship, there are two aspects within the Atma. It illumines it is like you are touching yourself. You have a sparshendriya. Here you see, hand has got a sparshendriya, and your hand is, one hand is touching your another hand, or you are touching your chest. You are touching yourself. So you are a knower and you are a this is the kind of self Swayam Prakasha they say. This Swayam Prakasha is strange for Advaitins. Okay. So this every term has got a different explanation, different concepts. We have to contrast them. Then only you see the differences. That's why we compare. We compare each other's philosophy, not to refute them, antagonize with them, and quarrel with them, and disrespect. They are highly respectable people. I tell you, Ramanuja is a great Acharya. His Tyaga, Vairagya, Bhakti is very great. If we happen to meet them, definitely we do Namaskara and respect them. So, we politely talk to them respectfully. The idea we have to discuss independently. Whoever says, even Shankara says, don't accept blindly. Okay? Even Shankaracharya says we are not supposed to accept blindly. Verify in your anubhava. Okay. So, their idea of self-shining means Atma shines itself. Okay. So, the Ramanuja's Paksha, Atma shines itself. That means in Atma there are two aspects. One is it is a shining aspect. Another is illuminated. Just like your Sparshendriya touches yourself, you touch yourself. One hand is a Sparshendriya, another hand is an object. See, when you are touching, like this you are touching, your two hands are touching, one hand is touching another. Which is the Indriya, which is the Vishaya? One is Sparshendriya, another is Indriya, Vishaya. Which is Indriya, which is Vishaya? Two hands, you can say two things. This right hand is this right hand is a Indriya, left hand is a Vishaya. Again, left hand is a Indriya, right hand is a Vishaya. So is a mutually Indriya, Vishaya. Like this, they say Swayam Prakasha. Their Swayam Prakasha is Atma reveals itself. But according to Advaitins, Atma Swayam Prakasha, self-illumination means his illumination. For Atma to be illuminator, it doesn't need an object to be illumined. Object that gets illumined may be there, may not be there. Atma by its very nature illumination. This is what we mean. Okay. Atma by its very nature illumination. That is Swayam Prakasha. Swayam Prakasha is in this sense. Okay. Anyway, this is not the point here. We are discussing about whether Advitiya is possible or not. So on the way this point has come, we are discussing this also. You leave this point and continue. This difference, you know it, and continue. So, Atma hi Chidrupaha, Ramanujacharya says, there is a Chaitanya nature and Chaitanya quality. Atma has got Chaitanya nature and also qualified by Chaitanya. It has got a quality of Chaitanya. Advaitins say there is no such a thing called within Atma, internal differences of within one entity there are differences. Okay. Atma's nature is one uniform consciousness. There is no quality and also nature. These are two levels of consciousness within Atma. No, such a thing Advaitins don't accept. There is only one consciousness. There are no two levels, two natures of consciousness within the consciousness. Within the consciousness, two natures. One is the nature of consciousness, another is the quality of consciousness. This is what Ramanuja, Madhva and many other people say like that. So, Atma hi chidrupaha swasmai swayam prakashamanatvat. Okay. Chidgunastu tat sambandhadhinataya tam prati prakashate ityato na swayam prakashaha. Chidgunastu tat sambandhadhinataya tam prati prakashate. Okay. Chidguna is a quality in it. Tat sambandha adhinataya. And this what is Chidguna? Chidguna means Chaitanya as a quality. Chaitanya as a quality depends upon Chaitanya as a nature. They say Atma is Chaitanya as a nature, Jiva is a Chaitanya as quality. Jiva has got two. Atma is a Chaitanya nature and Chaitanya quality. So, the Chaitanya quality illumines with the help of Chaitanya nature. See, one power is superior, it is something like higher officer and lower officer. The lower officer works within the power of higher officer. Okay, delegated officer. It is something like Chaitanya nature delegates a certain Chaitanyam to the Jiva. Therefore, Jiva has got Chaitanya Guna and Chaitanya nature. Chaitanya Rupa and Chaitanya Guna. Two levels. Samvid Anubhava Jnanadi Shabdaha Khalu Chidgunavachakaha. Okay. Now when we say Chaitanyam, Anubhava, Jnana, we common man, when common man say consciousness, we generally talk of it, I am conscious. When you are sleeping, or when you coma, in coma, or when you are sleeping, you say I was unconscious, I didn't know. When you wake up, you say, oh, I am conscious. Yes, I am conscious of. That means in your waking state, or when you are not in coma, you say, I am conscious. What is this consciousness? Okay, this consciousness in contrast with your sleep, in your murcha or coma, in contrast with coma, you are conscious of yourself, conscious of the world and all this. This is conscious. This consciousness. So, one word you are using consciousness. Second we call Anubhava. Anubhava means the consciousness only. Jnanam means consciousness only. So, consciousness, Anubhava and Jnanam, knowledge. Consciousness, experience and knowledge. These three words in English, corresponding Sanskrit words. What are they? Samvit, Anubhava, Jnanam. Samvit, Anubhava, Jnanam. Consciousness, experience and knowledge. And certain other words like this. Certain other words. What are these words then? These words are referring to certain experience in us. Consciousness, knowledge, experience. What are these? This consciousness which we are talking of in common man's life, what is this consciousness? Is it Atma Chaitanyam? Is it Atma Swarupam or is it Atma Gunam? Is it quality Chaitanyam or is it nature Chaitanyam? Is it consciousness as nature? Is it consciousness as quality? Okay. Which of these? If you ask, Khalu Chidgunavachakaha, these what we call commonly consciousness is only a quality. Conscious quality. It is quality of consciousness. Okay. Vachakaha sambandhi shabdatva tat kartaram karma cha anapekshana prayujyate. See, this what we call normally consciousness, knowledge, etc., they are calling is Chaitanya Guna. It is a consciousness as a quality. This, then what does Vedantins say, Advaitins say? If you say Advaitin, then what do Advaitins say this? Let us contrast. Advaitins say this is only a state of mind only. Consciousness reflected in the mind or consciousness reflected in a mirror. Consciousness reflected in the mind assumes a state of consciousness. Okay. And if this mind's state, a state of a mind or a thought of a mind, anything, whether you call a state of mind or a thought of mind or mind itself. So this consciousness, we call it is only a reflected consciousness consciousness is only one. It is something like there is original light, and if you put a mirror here, the light reflects in the mirror and comes out. Light falls on the mirror, and the reflected light which passes through mirror and reflects back. Reflects back means, for example, here is a light. Light falls on the mirror, and a certain rays come out. Not come out exactly towards it, they come out in another direction, fall into another object. Now the light which comes out of the rays which come out of mirror, what do you call them? Is it a separate light? Vedantins say, Advaitins say, it is the same light. There is only one consciousness passing, there is only one light passing through mirror. It is the same kiranas. Kirana means the same rays of light. But they say the light of the sun are the real light, and when they reflect through the mirror and come out, they are called quality of consciousness. So Atma's Chaitanyam, when reflects in Antakarana, it is called consciousness as quality. Atma's nature is consciousness as nature. Antakarana, there is a consciousness in the mind. Because in deep sleep, mind sleeps. When you wake up, mind wakes up. What is the difference between waking state and deep sleep? In waking, mind is awake. In deep sleep, there is no mind. Therefore, what you say in comparison with the deep sleep and the waking, you call consciousness. Waking is a consciousness. In deep sleep, I was unconscious. Don't we say that? Yes. This phenomena, how do we explain? So, in the waking, you are conscious. This Ramanujacharya and others explain that this wakeful consciousness is a quality consciousness. That means consciousness has quality. Okay. So Atma has got two things. One is consciousness as nature of Atma. Another is quality, consciousness as quality. What is this? What is this consciousness as a quality? Told by Advaitins, they say it is a mind alone. The consciousness in the mind, the same Atma, Advaitins say, the same Atma's consciousness is reflected in the mind. It is not in another mind, nor it is a quality of consciousness. It is neither another consciousness. Okay, the nature of consciousness is Atma, but in the mind, whatever you find the conscious mind, conscious means when mind is awake, like in waking state, mind is awake. When you are sleeping, mind is not awake, mind is sleeping. When you are awake, the mind becomes conscious. So this conscious mind, Advaitins say, is only reflected. Atma's consciousness is only one consciousness. It is reflected in the mind. We call it is only a borrowed reflected consciousness. Either reflected consciousness or borrowed consciousness. Consciousness is only one. But they say it is a quality, consciousness as a quality. The mental consciousness or the consciousness in the mind, they give another name. They call it consciousness as quality. Okay. The consciousness is in the mind. They say it is a consciousness as a quality. Then Atma, consciousness as the nature of Atma, consciousness as the quality. Okay. This is how they explain. This is how we understand. See the difference? Atma is nature of consciousness. And if you find consciousness in your mind, consciousness in your sense organs also, what do you find? Your eye is conscious, isn't it? Ears are conscious of. Your sense of touch becomes conscious. Your body becomes conscious, isn't it? So, this consciousness in your sense organs is only borrowed from the nature of Atma. The consciousness originally belongs to Atma. Atma is by nature consciousness. When it is reflected in the Antakarana, you find reflected consciousness. When you find in the sense organs, the same consciousness is reflected. But they say the consciousness which is reflected in the mind is a consciousness, a quality of Atma. They put a separate consciousness. It is a dependent but a separate consciousness dependent on Atma. They put it a two-tier consciousness. One is a consciousness as a quality, consciousness as a nature. We don't put two tier. It is only one consciousness reflected in the mirror. In the Antakarana is like mirror. Okay, Antakarana is like mirror. So therefore it is reflected there. It doesn't make it as another consciousness. It is the same consciousness reflected there. Consciousness is one. Okay, this is Advaitins. They say consciousness is the nature of consciousness. Consciousness as a quality, they are two tier. Though consciousness as a quality is dependent upon consciousness as nature. Therefore, so संविदानुभव ज्ञानादि शब्दाः खलु चिद्गुण वाचकाः संबंधि शब्दत्वात् तत् कर्तारं कर्म च अनपेक्ष न प्रयुज्यते. So without antakarana, without jnata, so they say this is a jnanam. Jnata is a jnanam. Knower is one jnanam. And knower's jnanam, you see, I am a knower. I know the book. So I have a knowledge of the book and I am a knower of the book. Okay. They say, see, Vishishtadvaitins say, knower is the nature of jnanam, nature of Atma. His knowledge about the book is the consciousness as a quality. This consciousness as a quality, this jnanam of an object is resting with jnata. Jnata and jnanam are two-tier jnanam, they put it. Advaitins say, jnata and jnanam both put together is one consciousness in two upadhis, that's all. It is only one consciousness. In the antakarana, you call it jnanam. Okay. In I thought, you call it jnanam. In I thought, you call it jnata. In you thought, you call it jnanam. But underlying consciousness is one, whether it is an I notion or you notion. Okay. I notion or this notion. Notions may differ. Thoughts may differ. Consciousness is one. This is Advaitin's way of telling. Consciousness is one, whether it is I notion or you notion. They say I notion is the knower. Consciousness in I notion is knower. It is his nature himself, he says. It is his very nature. The consciousness is an I notion, is his very nature, but the consciousness about you, about this book, you have got a thoughts of thoughts, various thoughts of book and thoughts of a table, thoughts of wall, thoughts of many things. All these thoughts are consciousness as quality, or in other words, knowledge. Knowledge depends upon the knower. Knower and knowledge, there are two-tier knowledge. This is what Vishishtadvaitins say. Knowledge is a quality of knower. Knowledge is, according to them, knowledge is a quality of knower. Knower has two kinds of knowledge. Knower has knowledge as a nature, knowledge as a quality. According to them, we say knower and knowledge, they are only two thoughts of the one consciousness underlying. Consciousness itself is waveless. These are only two waves. Okay, Advaitin's point we will discuss more later. Okay, so napeksha na prayujyate ataha swayam prakashoyamatma jnata iva najnana matram. Therefore, when we say swayam prakasha, Vishishtadvaitins say swayam prakasha means jnata. The knower is swayam prakasha. When we say swayam prakasha is sakshi is swayam prakasha, not knower. Because knower is relative. According to Advaitins, knowership, the jnatrutvam is relative to jnanam. Therefore, jnatrutvam is not independent. They say jnatrutvam is swayam prakasha. See, the Vishishtadvaitins say jnatrutvam, knowership is swayam prakasha, and the knowledge is his quality. Jnatrutvam, knowership is swayam prakasha, and knowledge is his quality. Advaitins say jnatrutvam is also aupadikam. Jnatrutvam is also due to antakarana upadhi. Pure consciousness is beyond jnatrutvam. Pure consciousness is not a knower. It is the very principle of knowledge, principle of consciousness. It is pure consciousness. It is not a knower, is a relativeness. Advaitins say knowership is a relativeness. Related to object is knowership. So knower is not swayam prakasha. They say knowership is swayam prakasha. See, this is the difference. Swayam prakashoyam atma jnata iva na jnana matram. Therefore, when we say Swayam prakasha, Vishishtadvaitin is talking. Ramanujacharya is talking. When we say Swayam prakasha, knower is Swayam prakasha. Jnatru is Swayam prakasha. We say Jnatrutvam is also relationship only. Then what is Swayam prakasha? Sakshi alone is Swayam prakasha. For they say, Sakshi means pure consciousness. They say, pure consciousness doesn't exist at all. There is no pure Sakshi. Sakshi doesn't exist. Sakshi is always related to an object. Unrelated to object. Pure consciousness means what? Objectless pure consciousness. Advaitins say, there is no object, yet there is consciousness alone, all alone. They say, there cannot be pure consciousness without an object to be known. Consciousness always knows something. There is something other than it, it knows. A second thing is required to know. In related to knowing something alone, that is consciousness. Consciousness cannot be pure. That means there is no objectless pure consciousness. Every consciousness requires some object. This is what Ramanujacharya says. Or even Ramanuja Madhva, all non-Advaitins. Okay. For them, Swayam Prakasha means, this is the strange thing. The knower is Swayam Prakasha. He knows himself. Okay. Swayam Prakashoyam Atma Jnata Iva. Therefore, what you call self-shining is only Jnatru, is only a knower, not pure Chaitanyam. Pure Chaitanyam means Sakshi. Sakshi means objectless. There is no object. Unrelated to object, independently, I am pure consciousness myself. Okay? Space is space. See, does light need some object to illumine? Suppose there is no object. There is no object. You mean the light ceases to be light? This is the Advaitin's argument. Does light cease to be light if there is no object to illumine? Suppose there is no light at all, there is no object at all. Remove all objects. Only put it space. Sun is illumining in the space. There is no object at all. In fact, that's what he's doing. Some people told me, one scientist tells me, if you go by spaceship to the moon or somewhere to the Antariksha, you see the sun is shining there, moon is shining there, earth is also shining. But in between what happens, I am asking. In between what happens? From the sun to the earth or the moon or any other planet. In between what? He says there is all darkness. He says there is darkness. Hey, how is that? But is not sun shining? Sun is all the time there. Because you have come out of the earth. When you have come out of the earth, sun is there 24 hours. You have a day and night only on the earth. When you come out of the earth, sun is all the time there, 24 hours. When sun is shining, what do you see in the space? Do you see the light? No. What do you see? You see only darkness. How is that? Because there is no object. If the light falls on the object and reflects back and reaches my eyes, I can see that there is a light. Suppose if light is going in one direction and there is no object to intervene, you would not know it. And light looks like darkness. Okay. Similarly, Advaitins say consciousness is independent of an object. It doesn't need an object. Consciousness is by nature object consciousness. They say consciousness cannot be pure consciousness. Consciousness has to know something all the time. It has to know something. Some object is required to know, then only it is conscious. So the idea of consciousness, Chaitanyam word we use. Upanishads use word Chaitanya. Oh, I've exceeded the time. So I think, but the 2 or 3 sentences are there. I think we will not be able to come. This argument is halfway. We have not completed it. I think we will complete in the next class. Okay. Today is Wednesday. Yeah, day after tomorrow only we'll discuss this. So, jnata ivana jnana matram. Therefore, they say, jnatru is jnana matram. Jnatru means what? A knower. A knower is knowing an object. A knower is knowing an object of knowledge. A knower while knowing an object, continuously there is an object to know. Without an object, knowership is not there. Knowership always requires a relativeness. Therefore, that alone is consciousness, that alone is Swayam Prakasha. There is no Swayam Prakasha as pure consciousness, which you Advaitins say. Your Advaitins' pure consciousness is only wild imagination. We say in deep sleep, there is only pure consciousness without object. Therefore, you have no notion of subject also. Are you subject there? Do you have a notion of individuality that I am knower? A knowership is not there. There is no known. No known, known, no knower. No knower known. Yet there is a pure consciousness in deep sleep. This is Advaitins accept. They say no. No. Consciousness is always a knower. Knower is a relative to the known. Okay, this much you remember for today. Remaining we'll discuss tomorrow. Next class. I think these arguments are good. Few more arguments. One more paragraph is there. One more big paragraph. Afterwards, then Swamiji starts answering, showing how a few answers I have given, but more thorough answers will be given later. Okay. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Bhyo Namah. Hari Om Tat Sat. All this I have translated long before and kept it. Okay. This book we will publish it. So our Karyalaya is asking me, I have to prepare. I have to just to do little bit of corrections. We will, this detailed arguments will not come, but the bare translation of Swamiji's idea will come at the moment. My explanations we are preparing separately. All my explanation, we try to publish it, maybe become volumes, 2 or 3 volumes or even more. All these, I think more than 200 pravachanas, we try to put them in the book. We are trying to do that. But this bare Sugama translation, just bare ideas will come shortly. We are trying to publish that also. Okay.